Hello. Thank you so much for joining me today. How you doing? Oh boy, I'm in for it today. I'm asking for it. Asking Europeans what they think of America. These are always good, painful, difficult to hear, fun. They're the best. Check out Traveling with Kristen, link down below. This is a super long video. I'm going to cut this into two parts, okay? First half right now, right here. Let's do it.
When you want to see how the world was, you have to be in Europe. And when you want to see how the world will be, you have to go to Asia.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I feel left out being America in that statement, but maybe that's good for Americans' egos to be left out sometimes. So, Europe is historical, Asia's technologically futuristic. Okay.
What was your
That's a cool saying.
perception of the US like before you lived there? Is there anything that you would change or like want to improve about your country? I've been in Europe for the past year, and whenever I tell people that I'm from the US, I always get one of two reactions. First is why, as in why
Why are you from the US? Why did you have to do that?
would you leave the US to live here? People find it very strange that I would prefer to live in Europe.
That is so hard to believe, it's insane. But wow, I mean, she's saying it, so I believe it. I just feel like most Europeans think that's like, would think that's, like a lot of Americans' dream, which a lot of Americans, like searching for how to, leave America and move to Europe is super high right now after Donald Trump got reelected. So maybe it's just right now in particular.
Compared to the US. But then the other reaction is it dangerous? And I have to say that that's a response that I didn't used to get 10 or 15 years ago. But in the past few years of living abroad, people have been asking me more and more about safety in the US. So here in Amsterdam,
Interesting. Why is that? I guess there has been an increase in, like, I don't want to say the word because I feel like YouTube doesn't like it, but, mass events.
I'm going to walk around a little bit and ask people their perception of the US and its citizens. What is your name?
Van de Boogaard. Ida.
Ira. And you're
There we
from
go.
the Netherlands? Where are you from originally?
I was born in Amsterdam.
Oh, born and raised.
Yes.
Wow.
I don't live here anymore.
Where do you live now?
In the east of the country.
And have you ever been to the US before?
Once I was in New York.
Oh, yeah? What did
Yes.
you think of it?
New York? Oh, wonderful.
Yes?
Yeah.
What would you say?
That's cool. I mean, trust me, I hear a lot of Europeans, and you guys make no effort to hide your opinions about the United States, which is fun. It's cool. But a lot of it is negative, you know what I mean? So hearing someone say they had a good time in New York, that's cool.
Say is the perception here in the Netherlands of the United States
Oh, different like before.
different?
Yes.
Different than before, I think she means, which is so sad, but I see that. Obviously, she's older. And so I think, maybe I'm not understanding, but I think she's saying back in the days, people used to respect the U.S. more.
Conservative country.
Conservative country?
Yes. Yes.
What would you say was the turning point when it changed? Like your perception, did it change from positive to negative?
The circumstances with Trump, and that's kind of things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by
It's crazy how long Trump has been relevant now. I mean, once you get older, time flies by. Like, to me, just Trump doesn't seem like that. It all seems recent to me, Trump. But it's been over a decade now that he's been relevant and was first president. Oh, no. Wait, no. Not over a decade, but about a decade. His campaign, he first started running for president 2025 or 2015. What am I saying? Can I speak? Okay, let's move on.
conservative, in which ways?
Point of view of abortion
Uh-huh.
and LGBTQ.
Zero tolerance.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think that that's too strict?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I actually had to go back and watch that because I was a little bit confused. I mean, being an American, it does not feel like there's zero tolerance for like LGBTQ. That is not how it feels. I'm just being honest. You guys know I'm always honest. I'll admit when America has its faults and stuff, which are plentiful. But as far as LGBTQ, there's a lot of tolerance. Like, there's a lot of support for it. And as far as abortion, yeah, I mean, I know the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, but trust me, the people are upset about it. And it's probably not going to stay that way for too long.
Yeah. You think
And there's still, most states, almost every state still allows abortion. It's just a matter of up to what number of weeks and under what circumstances. Of course, that's the big difference, is whether or not you can just choose to do it or whether there needs to be a circumstance. But still, most states, you don't need any kind of circumstance. You can just choose to get one, as it is today.
that that's too strict?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how would you describe the lifestyle here in the Netherlands?
Oh, it changed also.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But I'm 75, and in the years back after me, it was comfortable. And now it's changed a lot.
As more expensive or more crowded?
Everything. The way of...
In the city, very expensive. In the east part of the country.
I'm really curious about what she means, because that's fascinating to me. I don't know much about the Netherlands and that type of... To me, it feels like kind of just the people there are very happy, and they've been happy, and they're going to be happy. And that not too much has changed. I wonder what it is that has changed.
It's less expensive.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? Just cost of living?
That's very expensive here, I've noticed.
Yes. Yes, but I was born here, and I love always this town, this city.
Well, since you're from here,
I wish she would have been more specific about... I guess she didn't want to, talk bad about her city, which is... I respect that, but... What changed?
do you have any recommendations for us as visitors? Is there something special that you think everyone should see here in Amsterdam?
Well, for me, it's just being here because I know every place, every market, every canal, every street. So when I'm here, just all of Amsterdam is good.
Just the
It's
atmosphere.
Yes, it's just a feeling.
Well, thank you so much. Have a safe
Thank
trip.
you.
Bye. What's your name? So we can hear that.
Richard.
And were you
This dude is tall.
born and raised here in the Netherlands?
In the Netherlands, yeah.
Have you
He's having to lean down just to stay in the camera.
been to the United States before?
Yes.
Where?
I've been in New York for several times. I made a trip from Washington to Miami.
That's interesting to me. I mean, people are always going to New York, and he said several times. So that's what's interesting to me. I would think you'd go to different places. If you're making such an effort to go back to the United States on multiple occasions, I would think you'd want to see Florida, Texas, California. I understand you're never coming to Indiana. Trust me, I get that. But, some of the other big states.
Miami, and I made a trip on the West Coast.
But I guess, if you find somewhere you like for instance, maybe Amsterdam. A lot of people love Amsterdam, and so, a lot of people go there, come back, go there, come back,
California, San Francisco, Los Angeles.
I'm sorry, I could not understand him.
I made a trip from Washington to Miami, and I made a trip on the West Coast, California, San Francisco,
Oh, okay, so he's been all over.
Los Angeles, San Diego.
That's where I'm from, Miami. And what did you think of the U.S.? What were your impressions there?
Well, it's a very big country, so there are a lot of impressions. East Coast is different from the West Coast. My last trip was from Chicago to Miami through Louisville and the Midwest.
Okay, so he actually did pass through Indiana. That's fun.
And that was really sad. It was in the time that Trump was president, and I had a bad feeling about that. Poor people, pessimistic environment. So since then I haven't been back.
Really?
That's a yeah, but it's because of Corona, of course.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about going back again to the States, but it didn't happen yet.
Well, I find it very flattering that someone would at least want to come back multiple times to the United States. I think that's cool. Um, that is sad what he said about, seeing a lot of poor people and pessimism ever since Trump. Yeah, I mean, the vibe has definitely been a little bit more pessimistic, a little bit more, a lot more divided as far as a country, which decreases the overall American optimism that we used to be kind of known for.
Do you feel like there was a noticeable change in the attitude of Americans when you came back the last time?
No, not the attitude of Americans. Because when you're a traveler, you have very you feel welcome. That's no problem.
Yeah.
It's just your own observations how the country is. And this area was different from the East Coast or the West Coast. It's the Central of America is different from both coasts. That's what I discovered.
Yeah. And
That's interesting. That is actually quite fascinating. You don't hear you don't hear foreigners talking about middle America or the Midwest. So, yeah, it is different. It's definitely not as glorious, I don't see why you would want to travel. I mean, of course, there's big cities. There's nice cities here in the Midwest. Chicago, Indianapolis, Louisville, Nashville. And these cities are great. They're cool. But, along the coast, it's just a little bit more variety. That's where a lot of the wealth is. So you've got a lot of the nicest infrastructure, and stuff like that. So,
where else have you traveled to?
Oh, I travel. I'm retired now, so I travel a lot. You're lucky that I'm in Amsterdam because
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
not
how the heck do you afford it, dude? That's all I want to know. How? That's amazing.
I'm not much here last years. No.
What is your favorite country? Can you pick a favorite?
My favorite continent is Asia at the moment. I'm just back from 3 months in Vietnam and Cambodia, and well, I like Asia very much because my experience is when you want to see how the world was, you have to be in Europe, and when you want to see how the world will be, you have to go to Asia.
I love that.
Yeah,
It's like the future of Earth.
the energy and the dynamics and the most people are there they are going up, and here it stays the same or you go down.
Interesting.
That's what.
Wow. This dude is very interesting, At first, when he was first being interviewed, I thought he would be kind of, he wasn't talking much and he seemed very unassuming. But it's fascinating to hear someone with perspectives from around the whole world. Very well traveled. Very cool.
What I feel when I am in those countries.
You feel like the
That's a little bit of a pessimistic outlook, though.
West is
At least for the West.
on the downward trajectory.
Well, because they are passed by especially the Asian countries like China, but also the smaller countries like Vietnam or Thailand is very dynamic. Indonesia is very dynamic.
As a traveler, how do you fit in when you go to countries that are so different from yours? Do you ever feel culture shock, or how do you adapt to these other places?
I don't adapt. I just go there and I don't feel. Of course, you feel you see it, you experience you're in a different culture, but that's no shock. That's very pretty. It's very nice.
Yeah.
And I'm traveling alone.
That is something I've sorely lacked in my life, is experiencing different cultures. So I am envious of this man.
And I'm not very much in talking to people. I'm looking. So that's what I do, and that's very interesting. And to be a watcher, to be a spectator.
I agree. That's what I do.
Yeah, here in Holland.
Yeah, everywhere.
Yeah.
And
There's something funny about her saying that's what she does as she's interviewing people. She definitely knows how to talk as well. But yeah, that wasn't meant as a criticism or anything. I just thought it was kind of ironic, but I'm sure she does observe the cultures and stuff too.
for people who are coming here to Amsterdam specifically, it's a very international city. Do you feel like people from other countries can really integrate here, or is there always a kind of a division between locals and immigrants?
Well, that's very dependent on where the people come from. When you're an American or a European from Western European or Australian, when you're then there is a lot of common ground in the cultures from all these cultures in America and Australia. They come from Europe, and that's what the language is no problem because everybody speaks English. But when you come from Africa or from Asia,
He's allowed to say that because he's European. I know when Americans say that or assume that, it can be pretty arrogant.
you maybe then that
Everybody speaks English, right?
gap is bigger, I think, and then you hear stories that it's more difficult to integrate.
Thank you. Have a great travels. Bye.
And that guy was interesting.
What's your name?
My name is Avinia.
Avinia?
Davinia, yes.
Davinia.
Yes.
And where are you from?
I'm from Utrecht.
Oh,
Yeah, so not Amsterdam. Yeah.
I was going to go there this week, but it's been
I don't know what that is. I guess that's a city in Netherlands.
raining so much.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah. I was going to be from
Utrecht, Netherlands. Interesting.
there this week, but it's been raining so much.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
The weather was not that nice, no.
No, not at all. Have you ever been to the United States?
Yes, I've lived in New York for 1 year. And
New York, dude. It's all about New York. New York. Yeah. That's cool.
2005
Have you lived in any other countries as well?
in Aruba
Uh-huh.
and in Spain as well.
Oh,
yeah.
I love that.
Wow.
What inspired you to live in other countries?
To experience other cultures or other societies for longer than a couple of weeks when you're on holiday.
Yeah.
I mean, that really seems to be something uniquely European to me. Your guys' just will to travel the world and experience other societies and cultures and even live in different countries, you know? Like, she didn't just travel, she lived in other countries. That's crazy. And I think Europeans do that more than any other culture, it seems like.
To experience more about yourself as well and to meet new people. Yeah.
And how were your experiences? Do you feel like you achieved your goals in that respect?
I think so. I mean, you never know what would have happened if you would have not gone to those countries. But I do think that it has opened up my mind, my view on things, a view on myself, that I can survive wherever I live. And that it's so nice to see how people live and interact and work in different countries.
And did you go by yourself?
I did, yeah. I went by myself, yeah.
Me too. Female travelers, solo female travelers.
What are you doing in Amsterdam?
I just really like it here, so I usually come here a couple of months per year.
Okay.
But
Where in the States are you from?
I'm from Miami.
Miami. Ah,
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you miss the weather, I think, or no?
Yeah, I'm going back tomorrow.
Okay, for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, for Thanksgiving.
Ah, that's nice.
What was your perception of the US like before you lived there, and then how did it change once you lived in New York?
That's interesting when, Europeans know the U.S. well enough to know something like, oh, the weather in Miami. I mean, I guess that's pretty, I don't know, maybe it's movies and stuff and TV shows that you guys learn this type of thing from, just that the weather in Miami, is generally nice. I mean, rainy, but nice.
Well, my perception was of holidays, because I went on holiday there, and also, of course, of movies.
I mean, obviously it's going to be warmer on average than the Netherlands, so.
That it's on holiday there, and also, of course, of movies.
Man, movies. It's like unquantifiable the amount of tourism dollars that have been generated because of movies, Hollywood. You know, that's just an aspect to Hollywood that, I mean, Hollywood makes billions of dollars, right? Billions and billions and billions of dollars. But to think that they also generate all these other billions of tourism dollars that doesn't even go to them, it's just interesting to me. And it's also interesting just because no other country is really like that. It's really just America where, you know, oh, I saw it in the movies, so I went there.
That it's a beautiful country, that people are super nice and work hard. And what I realized when I
That's really nice.
was living there is that they definitely do work hard, and sometimes like even harder than people work here in the Netherlands. Like they have 3 jobs sometimes to support themselves. So that was something that really surprised
I like that she frames that as something that's kind of like impressive. It's usually framed as like kind of sad because it can be a little bit sad. If you need 3 jobs to support yourself, that's sad. No. What even does that exactly mean? You know, there's only so many hours in the day. How do you have 3 jobs? But a lot of people do have a full-time job and then, you know, do some kind of gig thing like driving Uber and stuff like that. So I think that's, you know, that's like having 2 jobs.
me that like maybe sometimes life can be really
But as far as, you know, it goes back to the Europeans work to live and Americans live to work.
hard there, harsh. Yeah.
A lot different than it looks in the movies and TV
Exactly.
shows.
Yeah, definitely, yes, yeah.
Did that experience make you appreciate more the social services that are here in the Netherlands?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I just came from a documentary from the ITVA, and it does say like, okay, every country has its corruption or things that are not going well, but mainly you feel quite safe here when you. I mean, if you lose a job, you have a support system. If you're not able to work, you have a support system, and it doesn't feel like you have that there.
Yeah, I mean, you do have certain social programs for those things. Like if you lose your job, you can get unemployment benefits, but it is on a clock and the clock is ticking quickly. And they're going to give you just enough money to basically like maybe get by without having to take on too much debt. You know, they have it set up to where you pretty much need to get back on the ball ASAP.
So yeah.
Yeah, I can concur that we don't really have much of a support system there. That's why I spend most of my time in Europe, even though I'm not part of the tax system and the healthcare system. I just feel safer here.
Yeah.
Did you feel like the U.S. has gotten less safe when you were there compared to Europe? Did you feel like it was dangerous at all?
No, not really. I mean, you have to be careful everywhere you go. And a week before, I think, or maybe a month before I went to the States, some person stole my bag from me, like ripped it off right in front of my house. So I mean, and in the States nothing happened. So it's just yeah, it's just a matter of being careful. So I don't.
Yeah, definitely as far as theft and stuff, I could see that. Honestly, not being any different. Of course, you don't really got to worry about being shot walking around Europe. Not too much, huh? Not too much. Not nearly as much, at least. Then again, I don't walk around being afraid of being shot on a regular basis here in America. It reminds me of that one TikTok where it's just the dude woke up in America and it was just gunshots going off all day. Anyway. Fascinating. That was the first half. So that was really interesting. Very interesting interview. It was pretty in-depth. So I look forward to the second half of that. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend. Goodbye.